Hello, this is World University and Schools live stream on Monday, March 9th, 2020 at 10 a.m. Pacific time, just after the time change. We're back to daylight savings time as of Sunday, yesterday. So this is a little bit out of sync with other parts of the world who have time changes in late March. Today I'd like to explore focusing on World University and Schools free degrees to students, planning our second undergraduate class this autumn 2020, taking MIT OpenCourseWare centric courses. And in something like MITx, edX has 205 MIT OpenCourseWare courses translated into the MITx platform. But whether that's a kind of platform through Google or some other platform for courses, that is something World University and School is still developing. So in today's live stream, I'd just like to touch on an email exchange I've had with Shahbaz Sanjir in India, in Uttar Pradesh, in the city of Lucknow. And with regard to how he, who's interested in a bachelor's degree in English online, is exploring the possibility of studying at World University and School. He wanted to begin this past January 2020, but World University and School still doesn't have the platform from the MIT OpenCourseWare courses, such as in MITx, yet. And we're working on that. So we're hoping Shahbaz can study at World University and School in the autumn of 2020, taking a 4-year bachelor's degree course in something like MITx, but also newly and in an innovative way in, for example, a realistic virtual Earth for English literature. Think Second Life with avatar bots and group buildability, with Google Street View, with Time Slider, with Google Maps, with Google Earth. Maybe a course on Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland would be something that would find very interesting expression in a realistic virtual Earth for English literature and in a creative way. So Shahbaz asked if there's any possibility of traveling to the United States to study as part of this. And I thank him for the question. I want to make it clear that World University and School seeks to be as online as possible. So for all of our 5 planned degrees, bachelor's degree, PhD degree, both would first be licensed with the California's Bureau for Private Post-Secondary Education in English, and then medical degrees, law degrees, and international baccalaureate high school degrees, all emerging potentially from MIT OpenCourseWare's Creative Commons 4 licensed resources and similar. I want to emphasize that World University and School seeks to be as online as possible. If Shahbaz studied for 4 years from India for an English literature degree and decided he might want to go on to medicine at World University and School, having taken courses for that as well. The one physical aspect of World University and School that we're exploring would be that people studying medicine 4 years out and beyond, first in English, would potentially study medicine from a very innovative teaching hospital perspective, perhaps in something like an academic Toyota teaching hospital van for medical schools with telerobotic surgery and also robotic genetic CRISPR-Cas9 technologies, all packed into these vans. And so Shabazz, if he brainstorming wise decided to apply for the medical degree program after taking an English degree at World University and School, would potentially travel outside of India in this van, for example, in this Toyota teaching hospital van as medical school, if he were interested in that. The other way Shabazz would conceivably travel potentially to, brainstorming wise, MIT and Boston would be once having gotten his online bachelor's degree in English literature in the English language from World University and School, he could then potentially apply to MIT itself in Cambridge, Massachusetts for a PhD, and then could travel to Cambridge, Massachusetts. I want to highlight the potential benefits of World University and School's focus on Creative Commons for MIT open courseware financially, which I've also shared with Shabazz. If one were to apply to MIT on the ground in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and then get accepted, and matriculate there, traveling to Boston, traveling to Cambridge from India, in Shabazz's case, as an undergraduate, tuition would be around $55,000 for 4 years, and that's each year. So $220,000 for the 4 years. And living expenses per year would be around $20,000 or $25,000 a year. Books, and then travel, airfare. So all of this would be potentially doable with scholarships and stipends and similar, but the advantage of studying from home in India, in Lucknow, might be that World University and School is free to students. World University and School is also, at this point, not going to cover living expenses. So Shabazz would have to, for example, find a way to support himself both for housing and for other related living expenses, books, things like this. But that's all doable in a very new way online. So that's the first part of this live stream. And World University and School is working on developing a realistic virtual Earth for English literature. And already there are a number of tweets for the realistic virtual Earth for history that would have something in common with a realistic virtual Earth for English literature. Again, think Second Life with Google Street View, but realistic. And in the process of developing World University and School's 6 majors for undergraduate, free to students, MIT OpenCourseWare centric degrees, and these majors are English literature and history and business, and also WECS, electrical engineering, computer science at the undergraduate level, and general engineering and general science, these 6 majors. We'd like to develop them all in a single realistic virtual Earth. Think Google Street View with Time Slider, Maps, Earth, TensorFlow, Google Poly with Second Life with avatar bots and group buildability. But also in a very new way with developments which are coming along information technologically. So I'll just share one recent remarkable potential for the business major and blockchain ledger technologies, and post related resources below this YouTube video. And that has to do with an actual virtual physical digital conversation. So in one Twitter post recently, one group, an Australian woman, is creating blockchain ledger for diamonds and gems that have been mined out of the ground, as well as computer chips, so wafers, semiconductors, as well as wine, as well as apparel, textiles, clothes. And in the process of creating blockchains, which are about transactions that add a kind of security because the chain is immutable, diamonds, the gems, would be modeled virtually, and probably also at the molecular level, so at the Street View level and the molecular level. And I think all diamonds are unique. And in this modeling of these virtual gems, these virtual diamonds that come out of the ground and have a life history, each one unique to itself, the blockchain ledger for transactions, financial transactions, would relate to these virtual models of all these individual diamonds, for example. Just briefly to give some perspective on blockchain ledger, think of a physical house in the state of Vermont in the United States that was built in the year 1900 and sold 15 years later. If that physical house were in a blockchain, the transaction in 1915 would add another block to the chain. And if that house were sold 10 times through the year 2020, each one of those would be a block. Now, that blockchain for this example of a house in Vermont that gets turned over 10 times in 120 years would create a history of the house. Each time the house was turned over, more information potentially would be added to the next block about developments in the house, whether a new roof was put in or furnace, things like that. And that chain itself would have value, and it would relate to the physical house, and it would be a record of transactions and a way of assuring that those transactions were accurate. Blockchains are transparent and also anonymous, but secure in that the chain makes it difficult for what came before to be fudged or potentially lied about, for example. So in the process of creating this new blockchain technology, and this is a revolutionary technology potentially, the blockchain itself, in the Vermont example, could have value. And it could be sold to insurance companies, or it could be something museums would have interest in if it was a historic house. And the house itself, in these examples, in this World University and School business degree with information technologies, a realistic virtual earth for business majors, could be also modeled virtually, AutoCAD architecture software into Google Street View and Second Life. And that virtual modeling in this realistic virtual earth, connected with the blockchain ledger, creates a whole new approach, potentially, for this one major, a realistic virtual earth for business majors at World University and School as an undergraduate degree. Just brainstorming wise as an example. And the realistic virtual earth for WECS would potentially complement that with maybe focus on blockchain technologies. And the realistic virtual earth for general science could open ways to evolutionary biology, but also there's already a realistic virtual earth for STEM, STEM, Twitter hashtag, which is quite robust. So lots of avenues there that might give you who are watching this insight into how a realistic virtual earth for engineering would work as well. In a realistic virtual earth for history, for example, documentary films back to the late 1800s, early 1900s could be digitized into 3D interactivity with people, into avatar bots. And potentially, we could interact with these people. Similarly with the realistic virtual earth for English Lit. Potentially we could interact with avatar bots of authors, of writers, about whom we know much perhaps through already existing English literature scholarship and related documentaries and other evidence. So that's a little bit about World University and School's planning for a realistic virtual earth for our 6 majors. I think Second Life with Google Street View, with Time Slider, and newly connecting potentially with blockchain ledger. think modeling unique diamonds virtually, digitally, and connecting them with a blockchain ledger, and then potentially even in a realistic virtual earth, being able to craft these diamonds in very new ways with developing technologies. So a realistic virtual earth could be used to create approaches to polishing and creating new facets and cutting these diamonds, which are a very, very difficult to cut mineral. So I'm going to bring this to a close now, this World University and School live stream, but we're seeking undergraduate students in the autumn of 2020 for free to students WUaS, MIT OpenCourseware centric bachelor degrees. Shabazz Sanjir in India is interested in English literature degree, and he would study from home, for example, as you might as well. And we're interested in this, in developing an English literature major in a realistic virtual earth. And in this realistic virtual earth for all of our 6 majors, we're interested in connecting that with blockchain ledger technologies. And this modeling process of diamonds, for example, unique diamonds, could find form in Google Poly, which is a library of virtual objects, and easily integratable with machine learning and artificial intelligence and the Google platform, such as Google Street View. Diamond is mined in Google Earth in Russia. And in Google Street View with Time Slider, you could see it coming out of the mine and into the path it takes through history. And that could be blockchain ledgered and add new approaches to potentially improving the industry. Blockchain ledger is partly about trust. So I'll post resources below this YouTube recording. And for today's live stream, and hope to see you next week. To see this video, go to youtube.com/WORLDUNIVANDSCH. And similarly, go to twitter.com/WORLDUNIVANDSCH. If you'd like to join this live presentation, this live conversation, go to email info@worlduniversityandschool.org, and we'll invite you in. Potentially, one of these weeks, I'm hoping Peter Bote will join this conversation as well. So until next time, see you soon. I'm Scott McLeod. It's March 9th, 2020. This is World University and School's live stream on Mondays, 10 a.m. Pacific time. info@worlduniversityandschool.org.